Good day, everyone. Welcome to today's class. It's a pre-recording because, as you know, I'm having a little technical difficulty, so I am pre-recording this class. Today's class is all about the revision of the topics that will be covered in the examination, as well as your examination prep, outlining the structure and the requirements of each section for your understanding, so that you can revise, so that you can prepare, so that you can practice. So on the board, as you can see, the date of your examination is the 12th of December, and you will have your paper 2 at 9 a.m. Paper 2 is where you complete these 4 essays, and paper 1 will be at 1 p.m. where you have 60 multiple choice questions testing a range of skills. In the first section of your paper 2, for 25 marks, you'll be expected to write 1 letter. That letter will either be a job application letter, or a letter of complaint, or a letter of apology, or a letter for request or invitation. All of these were taught in the first module. Those of you who did not join us in the first module, I am contemplating doing a pre-recording of the letter writing. However, if you were to go on Google Classroom, I have at least 2 or 3 classes pre-recorded with the information about at least 2 of these types of letters. So as long as you have the general format of, let's say, for example, letter of complaint, you can look at the letter of complaint class. That letter of complaint class covers both letter of complaint for service, letter of complaint for goods. I also have, I think it's a job application letter, I'm not quite sure. But I know for a fact that I have letters, pre-recorded classes in Google Classroom, I think on the complaint letter. If you revise that and you read the notes, it's pretty self-explanatory. This is 25 marks. The second section is your expository and report writing section. So in the second and third module, we had covered report writing as well as expository writing. We started off with our incident report. So in this section, you will either be asked to write an incident report or a news report, a compare and contrast essay, or a method and process essay, or a cause and effect essay. I don't think I have any classes pre-recorded on expository writing, because expository writing is a very wide topic. If you remember, we spent at least 12 weeks on that topic because we had to go through all these different types of essays, and cause and effect had like 3 different types of essays that we had to look at: cause focus, effect focus, and balanced. So we have these different types of expository writing as well as report writing. You'll be asked to write 1. So I'll give you a prompt, and based on that prompt, you will be expected to write accordingly. That's also 25 marks, 1 essay. In section 3 is your narrative section. Many of you would have joined me at narrative, and many of you would have continued on from the first set of modules with narrative. We're doing the same thing. We're looking at the different prompts. So in this section, you'll be given either a picture or a phrase that you will use as your inspiration to write your narrative. Notes on narrative are available. Recorded classes of narrative writing are also available on YouTube for those of you who need that refresher. And your notes are in Google Classroom. For this, I think I have an incident report. Class recorded on Google Classroom, so you can check that out. Section 4, this is also 25 marks. Section 4 is your persuasive writing. Persuasive writing, as you know, can come in for 3 different formats. We have the argument, where you take a stance. You argue whether or not you agree or you disagree. And then we have the persuasive writing, which I explained is the one where There is no logical opposing answer, but it's still important for us to be able to persuade others to act upon some information or to have a particular mindset around something. For example, recycling. You cannot argue against recycling, but you can argue or rather persuade someone to recycle. And this is what you would know as the obvious. So if you were to look in your notes, you would see the differentiation between these different types of persuasive pieces, where the persuasive piece, you take a stance. Sorry, the argument, you take a stance. The persuasive piece, the logic is obvious. And then we have the discursive essay, where we simply balance our presentation of the different sides that one can take. So whereas with your argument, you take a stance yes or no, the discursive is rather just presenting the differing opinions for yes and for no in a balanced way without injecting your own bias, right? So I'll ask you either to take a stance to say whether you agree or disagree on a topic, or to write a persuasive piece encouraging somebody or something. Or I'll say, write the differing views that would be surrounding this particular topic, which would be a discursive. Also 25 marks. So we have 4 sections for 25 marks, which will give us a total of 100 marks. And then we will have our multiple choice section, which will give us 60 marks because each question is 1 mark. These questions will be touching on a variety of skills. Some of those skills will be your grammatical skills in the first section. There'll be 25 grammatical questions. So this can be grammar ranging from usage to sentence completion to sentence correction, opposites, synonyms, those things, 25 of those questions. The other 35 questions will be on a variety of skills, testing your comprehension. Those comprehension will be obviously on one expository piece, so you will be given an expository piece where you will have to answer questions on that. You will be given one narrative where you're asked to answer questions on that. You'll also be given a poem to assess how well you understand poems, how well you comprehend poems. And lastly, you will be given a section on advertising, advertisements, or statistics, where you will have to analyze the visual data in order to come up with the answer. So when I say analyze visual data, maybe a flyer and they'll ask you questions on the flyer, or a pie chart, a pie graph or something, and ask you to analyze the statistics. These are the different skill sets that CSEC would usually test. For your grammar section, I am not going to be given any equivalent sentences because we haven't covered summary writing as yet. And equivalent sentences deals with your ability to paraphrase and summarize and interpret and translate, etc. So that's how your examination is going to be set up. One more time, very quickly, 60 multiple choice questions with a variety of skills being tested. The first 25 will obviously be grammatical based, understanding antonyms, synonyms, vocabulary, usage, sentence completion, error recognition, etc. And the next 35 will be comprehension questions that you will answer, multiple choice. One will be expository, one will be narrative, one will be poetry, and the other would be a visual that you will have to interpret into words. Then you have your paper 2, which is simply 4 essays that you will complete in 2 hours and 45 minutes. That's 2 hours, 45 minutes. So whereas the multiple choice is an hour and a half, your paper 2 is 2 hours and 45 minutes. You'll be asked to write either a letter of a job application, complaint, apology, or a request or an invitation, you'll be given one prompt, which is mandatory. You have to do it. 25 marks. Section 2 would be one of these categories of writing, either expository or report writing. You have the two types of report, either an incident or news report, or one of the expositories that we would have covered, compare and contrast, method and process, cause and effect. And this is 25 marks for the essay that you'd be given. Now you may say this is a very wide range because you notice, well, you know this is a letter. The structure of letters are similar, but these range in structure. For example, an incident report is more like a letter structure. A news report, you know, it has its own structure. And then we have these sort of paragraph essay structures, which can be 3 or 5 depending. But the range is really, because CSEC section 2 is very diverse, it can be any form of writing that they ask you to do. I also want to incorporate that range where you don't focus on getting too concerned with one type of writing to the point where you omit revision of the other types of writing. The third section is your narrative, picture, or phrase prompt. 25 marks. And then your section 4 is your persuasive piece, where you will be asked to either write an argument where you take a stance, yes or no, or persuasive where the logic is obvious but you have to do a good job at persuading, or a discursive where they simply say, look at the different views that different people may have on the topic. So this is what we'll be doing. If there is any need for any further information, let's say for example for the preparation, you need some assistance, you don't understand a concept, I encourage you to message me, let me know. I can either guide you to the Google Classroom where you can find the information, or we can schedule a one-on-one class where you can get the tuition that you need. So this is what we're doing. I wish you all the best. We will not be having class until examination unless you request that I have a revision class to go over a topic, or you have a request for a one-on-one. Just let me know before time so that I can schedule you in accordingly. And let's do this. Remember, we're gonna get ones for CSEC. We're working on ourselves. It's never too late. All the good stuff. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time. Have a good one.